Welcome to Tithing 101, or Tithing Made Easy. This is a very simple demonstration and illustration about tithing that should help you in understanding what God's Word says about tithing and how to implement it. So, taking this dollar bill, as you can see, a nice crisp dollar bill, and made it represent what maybe you and I have as our income. And so you may be making $1 a week, or $1 every 2 weeks, or $1 a month. And I know some of you are even now saying $1 a month is about what it feels like. But I wanted to show you how to implement this principle of tithing. So you take $1, and what I've done is I've broken it down into 10 stacks of 10 pennies. A tithe means a tenth, and a tenth of 100 is 10. So there are 10 stacks of 10 pennies. Very simple math stuff. And if you have trouble with that, we can get you a calculator, whatever you may need, so you can figure this out. As you can tell, it's kind of in a smiley face because we're very happy that we even made $1. So we have $1 broken down into 10 stacks of 10 pennies. That's 100 pennies. And so we have 10 pennies to a stack. All right. So here's how it happens. You bring your $1 home as income. And the first thing that you do is that you take one of those stacks, a tenth of what you have made of that $1, and you take that stack and you give it to God's tithe. Now, why is it God's tithe? Because it's not our tithe. God has asked us to give tithe unto Him, the first fruits of everything we make. And you can tell I picked a nice shiny stack of pennies because giving should be joyful. There's joy in giving. And so it's shiny because it's happy, and it's giving unto God the first fruits that He has requested from us. And the first fruits are always going to God, are going to the storehouse, are going to the church, to the place where you're being fed, where you enjoy fellowship, where you're connecting with God's family, and that place that you go to regularly, or maybe you're a member of that church. That's where your first fruits go, where your tithe, your God's tithe, go to the storehouse. So that's the first thing you do, right off the top, right off the gross. I didn't separate it and then give God. I gave it to God first, so I wouldn't have to think about it anymore. And He knows that I'm honoring Him with the first fruits of whatever I bring in to our household. So God's tithe, He gets a tenth of everything right off the top. Then you may look at missions pledge. You say, well, what have I committed to missions this year? What has God instructed me? What has He put in my heart to give to missions? And maybe it was 5% or whatever God may have spoken to you. So I've taken 5 pennies here off of one of the stacks, and we're going to put it right there because that's going to go to missions. And that's my missions pledge. Now, one thing I want you to notice that God's tithe is separate from the missions pledge because God's tithe goes to the storehouse. That's what He has commanded and requested. So anything above that we give to missions, that we pledge, that's what goes here on the side. So it's not all together. It's a separate thing. 10 pennies to God and 5 pennies or whatever God has told me I'm going to put to missions. Now the next stack, it would be my offerings. And these are things that I feel from time to time that God has put in my heart to give either to a speaker or to a project or to something that the church is doing or maybe even another ministry or something like that. And I will take whatever amount. I'm going to take 3 pennies just as an example and put them over here under my offerings. Again, I want you to note this. The tithe is separate from your missions pledge and your offerings. It's a separate quantity. The first tenth of everything that you make goes to God. And that is what God has asked of us to do. And that's how you set it up and you break it up. So here we go. The rest of it, then that's just where you use it to pay your bills and your utilities and to go to Starbucks. And you know what? If you can't afford to go to Starbucks because you don't have enough, make coffee at home. It's probably better anyway. So here it is. God's tithe, God's blessing. This is Tithing 101, Tithing Made Simple. Give joyfully unto the Lord, and He will bless you. That's His promise.